all set. Over to you.
Give me 1 second, just feel, okay. Sorry, I think I said the wrong screen. Give me just 1 more second. Yeah. Here we go. Sorry, everyone. How everyone doing today?
We're doing good, thanks, Leo. And
thank you. Thanks everyone to join us today. So today we will talk about the Azure Serverless, right? How we architect and design, implement, and deploy all the components around Azure Architect. Firstly, I would go with my background first, and you know, I grew up in Vietnam. Let me change the. So I grew up in Vietnam. I studied computer science in Vietnam, and then I moved to France in 2005. So my first project was back in 2005, which is we built the ASP.NET website for Adidas FIFA World Cup in 2006. And then later on, I started one of my first non-serverless infrastructure. We will talk about that later. And the first DFS thing, so we build a high availability software for BlackBerry at that point, which means that we build the monitoring system for the BlackBerry server, and we host them in our data center. And later on, I moved to work for OBS, which is Orange Business Service. I think most of us from Europe, we know very well this company as a technical manager. And that was my first Agile and Scrum project. I worked with very good Scrum Master at that point, so I learned a lot. I loved that time. We build everything around SharePoint. You know, when we talk about the big products like SharePoint or Dynamics 365, so we need a lot of customization. We do a lot of coding, design, and implementation, right? So and after that, I moved to North America. I continue my SharePoint development, you know, with the background of .NET, Microsoft development. So back in 2012 and 2013, I worked for a company in Canada, and our client is Microsoft. So we customize SharePoint for different Microsoft department, different Microsoft team in Redmond. Later on, I moved to CIM work, with this customer relationship management, and it was a fun, very interesting domain of field to work on, which related to pro sport. With I own an NBA, IMG, Ticketmaster, thing like that, right? And I remember that we have to do, at one point, we had to do SQL to SQL, direct SQL to SQL to import a few million tickets from a Ticketmaster to CM database. Then I move on to one of my biggest CIM project, which was for Colliers International, the #1 real estate company in Canada, as a technical team lead. And our mission was migrating everything from on-prem, which is SQL on-prem web application, what you can think of as an enterprise architecture, everything on-prem, and we moved to Microsoft in the cloud, which is CIM 2015 online, SharePoint Online, and Azure Online. Then later on, I work for Mogul Finance Technologies. They have 4,000 400,000 customers, and I get familiar with AWS Serverless, which is our topic today, talking about Azure, right? The serverless thing. So I have experience also with AWS, Lambda, Dynamo, SQL, things like that. And currently, I work for CGI in Victoria, BC, beautiful island in Canada. I think we have a nice day today, so beautiful weather today. Currently, my role is Microsoft Dynamics 365 Solution Architect, and we doing also Azure DevOps. I'm helping one of our clients here for working on the Azure DevOps project. We have many different Dynamics 365 CRM Azure project here at CGI. So that's everything about me. So let me start with my the story that I experienced. So once upon a time, back in 2006, the time when I worked for IBM, not the IBM, so IBM in France. We was a small company, and we built a very complex system with high availability software to monitor the BlackBerry server, right? So back in the time, the BlackBerry was really powerful, you know. And at that point, we have a group of four developer and integrator, or whatever you can call, you know. We work together. And at that point, I remember that we were sitting in the small room, and next to us there was you know, the server room, because we host also the software, the hardware, right? I remember that at that point the server cost around 3,000 euros in euro, right, at that time. So we have to know many different things, right? I and my direct manager at that time, the guy who know very well how to configure the router, LAN, server, OS, software, and also we need to worry about electric power, right? Because we host our software on our server to rent it out. So we need to know all updates, and also our main part is still like writing code, right? So on update, we need to worry about too many different things. Many things can go wrong if you host a platform like that. So let's think about keep this picture in your mind and go forward. So that's how serverless can help here, right? So let's say the developer, what we prefer to do, we prefer to write code, right? Design, implement. We don't want to deal with too many things, right? Too many things in hand is not ideal. So the idea is we let developer to focus fully on the business logic, right? And we leave everything else with the unrelated technical things to someone or a group of people who know way better than us. So these are the people: Azure, AWS. I'm familiar with the two, Google Cloud, and also IBM OpenWish, authentication, web task, for everything related to provision, scale, and manage the infrastructure, right? So that's the way I think it should work. So developers should worry about only business logic, so we can deliver value much faster. And it's also aligned with the DevOps work nowadays. Like I remember that we have the DevOps conference here two weeks ago. It was beautiful, and we talk a lot about all of this. So the main goal is deliver value much faster. So serverless benefit. So of course we save time, we save the resources, investing in infrastructure management, right? So most of company nowadays, we used to own a lot of infrastructure. So we used to have a big team of IT team to take care of the infrastructure. You know, in my experience at Mogo, same way, right? So we did at Mogo finance technology, we did half and half, right? So we have an in-house IT team, operational team. We ran also the server. I remember the cost of server at that time was around probably $1 million a year. So serverless provide, give us the benefit of faster time to the market that we don't want to argue with that. No play, no pay. So most of the time, like we build a proof of concept, we don't want to spin up the whole server running 24 hours a day for that, right? We don't want to pay for 24 hours and we use only like 1 hour debugging, right? Or we have few customers. Also dynamic scalability, which is back in the day, we need to configure a lot of load balancing server and things. This is really ugly when you touch the router, go here and there. Many things can go wrong. We don't want to mess with that. So that we leave all of these to the cloud provider. They're really good at that. So and also this interesting point. That's why we need to invest in the serverless architecture. So here's the I got from I think EY or something, the website, and they say that talking about serverless architecture. So we talk about the market side, right? The more money involved, so we have more job, people feel comfortable, happy, right? So back in 2017, we have around like $3.1 billion in this market. And this year, 2020, we estimate around 7.6 billion. And 5 years from now, the number bump up to $21.1 billion. I'm not sure because this number come up before COVID, so it may change, right? So but you know the market growing, right? So it's good to be in that market. So now I want to move to the serverless architecture. So let's talk about this a little bit. So most of the time, I have a hard time to see my red pointer there. Maybe because I use the white background. Sorry about that. So most of the time we have the application, which is the website or mobile application interact with user, right? In the back we have a whole bunch of things that users are not aware of, right? So but we have to deal a lot with this. So that's we want to leverage this. So here's something in this picture. We have the Azure Block Storage. We have a CDN to host the static content of your application. We have API, which is very classic way how to design this architecture, right? We have something in the back like Cosmo DB. We have the API, which is the Azure Function app. We have the API management, which is, take care of everything around like traffic or routing, things like that. We have authentication, and we have the user application, right? So the UI. So let's see how it works in this architecture. So firstly, user, like from his browser, he will do the HTTP GET, right? So what do we have in GET here? We have something stored in the block storage there, and you can see is we have HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and images. What we really need, only these we need for the web application, right? So after that, so the set of these files will be sent over to user browser, right, and store it there. So we talk about the single page web application. So is just the content of the web application, the static content, right? And then the user in the application, we will have the Ajax code in JavaScript or whatever the framework you use. It will reach the API management to get the Azure function, to get to the Cosmo DB via the function. So here we can put up something that very Microsoft give us a new product, which is Azure AD B2C for the user to sign in. Then the AD here will protect our API and functional, right? Just in the scenario where you want to authenticate the user, and we will see what the B2C provides, right? So here, and then when once user authenticated, so the function will get the JSON data sent back to the browser, and with all of these 5 elements, right? We can do whatever we want on the client side, right? So pretty much. So that's the architecture. So we will talk about these components one by one to make sure to know them better. So firstly, the block storage. So the block storage is a core of is the core of the is one of the product of the core of the Azure storage service, right? So with that, we have 4 different benefits of this service, which is very durable, it's highly available, right? And it's scalable, so we don't have to worry about that. It's accessible and it's very secure. So that's Microsoft will take care of this. Azure storage service, we can say all of these have the 4 benefits above, which include Azure Block. That's what we use to host our static content here. We have Azure File as well. Like if we can think of like how we store in the past, how we store the file in the CDN network. Now we can leverage the Azure files. Azure Queue, which is which one of the key, right? When we work when we deal with the enterprise architecture, we need to use all kind of queue and caching things like that. Azure Table, kind of sort of database. Azure Disk for the VM virtual machine. Let me know if you have any question around that. So now we talk about the next component is Azure CDN. So all of us are familiar with the CDN. CDN just to for the better performance, right? Because it will in this picture we will see that our website is here, and the Edge servers will store some of the content, right? So let's say there's one server in Asia, one server in Europe, one server in North America. So they will serve different type of different user from different. They will serve user from different location, right? So the traffic doesn't have to go under the sea to go to reach the user. So that's the benefit of CDN. So based on that, we will have last scaling, right? For if we use the CDN, less traffic to the origin server, because when we the more traffic we use, we have to pay more, right? So that's the rule of serverless. But in some scenario, we need to consider if we have to use CDN or not, right? Some scenario we don't have to use, like if we have very small website, we can only few visitors a day, or the traffic is all come from the same geographic location, so we may not need it. Also, if your website is already very fast, right? The fast here means the response time or time of your website should be under 200 milliseconds, right? So this should be tested. But if you have the budget for CDN, I think we should go with that, right? Sometimes it slow down because it cache on the edge servers. The next thing, so what are the technology we can use for our, you remember on the browser, we have the single page web application here, right? So the classic approach, what we call here is traditional page life cycle, right? So the client start with a request, the server reply with an HTML, and client do the post, and the server reply with another HTML, and it keep going, right? I should put up something up there. I forgot to hide this framework for the next approach. So the model approach is the SPA, which is single page application life cycle. So the client will start with the request, server answer with the HTML, and client keep going, doing some Ajax code to get the JSON back, right, the data back. So to leverage this single page application, once the HTML is stored in the browser, the next should be just the JavaScript doing this its work, right? On the browser side. So that is the single page application approach, and we have a lot of choices here. The most famous one, AngularJS for the front end framework, SPA framework, React. This built by Facebook, and Vue.js, one of the Google engineer, he invented this framework. What I prefer, and most of my colleagues in this domain, they love this framework so much. It's very light. We will talk about that when at the demo. We have other framework as well, Backbone. You can name a few there. We can name a few there. So the advantages, the benefit of this framework or SPA is responsiveness and speed, right? It's very, very fast. I remember back in the day, we have to use the traditional approach, and the server just do the first request and wait there for so long to load all the data, right? Like a few hundred or few thousand records to the page, right? And user just stay there and wait. So with this approach, we have responsiveness and then speed very fast. We can leverage the browser caching like local storage or web storage on the browser side, the offline support and caching, right? So even like if the browser is not connected to the server, we can still do something here, right? We can run the app as well in the browser. So it will increase the performance and the user experience. It adapts to the context and flexible to use, right? This framework. So let's go to the next one. The next one is we talk about the storage, we talk about the browser, the client side. Now we discuss about the integration, right? So we need some sort of API because the app cannot run by itself, right? So let's say our web page here, or traditional or SPA approach, or another mobile application on this side, or we may have some existing platform, and at the enterprise level, we have a few platform in the back or on-prem or online, ERP or CRM, Microsoft Dynamics 365, Salesforce in the back, SharePoint, you can name a few there. And also we have the databases in the back as well, right? So we always have the question around how we integrate them together, and how we build our process automation here, right? That's the big question, and we need to choose the right technology for that, right? So the evolution in hosting and executing code and the workflows. So you can see that in my story that we used to have the server, Windows Server on premise, and then we get into the virtual machine. Like we don't have to buy the server, maintain the hardware, LAN, and things. So we have the virtual machine, And we're moving to, I believe we're moving to the Microsoft Azure Service or AWS, right? So here are all, I can say, I may miss something, but let's say here are some Azure services for integration and process automation scenario. We have Azure Function, we have Microsoft Power Automate, we have Azure Logic App. I just told you a whole bunch of name here, right? If you're not familiar with them, we get to that a little bit later. Azure Web Jobs, which are very, I think it's the oldest one from this family. Azure Data Factory. This one is most of our DB. I love it, right? It's kind of like SQL to SQL thing, right? So all of these have something in common. They all accept the inputs, which you can send something to them, like some data. They have action. So when we build a workflow, we need action, right? We need steps. They own support condition, like if then else, thing like that. They produce outputs, right? It's exactly how that's how we interact with them, right? So let's go quickly to these technologies. So let's talk about Microsoft put up the design first technologies, which allow the non-coder. I can, in my picture here is the business analyst, right? The person or the people, we know that they know the business better, right, than developer. So they discuss the plan, they discuss and plan a business process as the first step, and then they draw a flow diagram on the paper. Let's say that's the classic approach. So for this, Microsoft provides us two things. So Logic Apps and Microsoft Power Automate, right? Which kind of you make your flow by just drag and drop all the action and condition to your flow, to your diagram, and you make it work. That is pretty straightforward. We have done a few there. So the second approach is the code first technologies. So that approach is for us, I believe. Most of us here are developers, right? So developer, we love writing code, right? We love dealing with, just the code line, reading code, things like that, because we are passionate about that, right? So we write code, and then we need a way how to make the code work together, right? Sometimes we include few different things doing different things in the same piece of code, right? So that's how developers think. And for this, Microsoft give us two products, which is Azure Function and also the Web Shop here. Let's talk a little bit about them because we have more developers than business people on this call, I believe. Azure Function benefits, so no infrastructure required, right? Easy to write and test code locally, which we will see it in the demo a little bit later. Easy to integrate with Azure DevOps for CI/CD. So we talk about Azure DevOps a lot. So I believe, and I think most of us believe that's the new way to do software, right? Azure is a DevOps. I'm not talking about Azure. We can choose whatever you want, but Azure, currently I'm working on a project. We're using Azure DevOps. So, and I love the product so far. So Azure Function, you have a lot of choices here. You can write in C#, in JavaScript, TypeScript is a new one. I think with a PowerShell even. I haven't tried this. So we can use one of these. Also, we have Microsoft provide us many triggers here, like HTTP, webhook, timer trigger, just to trigger your function. event grid, block storage, Cosmo DB, and of course, and, many more. So Azure Function versus Azure Web Hub. Back in the day, I built something with Azure Web Job there because we want to generate, convert an HTML page to PDF and work, and in the cloud, right? So for that project, we have to use the Web Job because it have we can access to the deeper level of the machine, things like that. So the new Azure Function, the main benefit of it is, you can see that more choices in the language, auto scaling, yes. So development testing in the browser, so pay per usage, all of these. So that's why we hear less and less Azure Web Job nowadays, I believe. So the Azure Function is the right tool for our developers. Further than that, we talk about the Cosmo DB. So very highly responsive and available. It scales very well. It pretty much always on. It way faster than SQL. So and Microsoft automatically index the data, right? So Microsoft have used this for many of their mission, like critical mission and application. For example, they use it for Skype, Xbox project, Office 365, and Azure project, and many others. So that's probably the most powerful database there. We talk about Azure, right? Amazon, they should have some kind of similar thing like DynamoDB. We call them it's a NoSQL database, and the way how we design it is a little bit different. So here's the benefit of is NoSQL database or the serverless database. Here is you don't have to scale this database by yourself, right? It's just Microsoft scale it for us, and it can be accessible from many different locations, right, in this picture. So now quickly about the B2C. So B2C means nowadays sometimes like if you work for government or you deal with the public customer, the customer will use many kind of the authentication like Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, that kind of things. And we need a way how to protect our web application with this. So Microsoft provided us the Active Directory B2C. I believe like the first 50,000 B2C maybe free or something like that. I haven't reviewed it yet, but that's the way. So Microsoft take care of all the user sign up and sign in, login flows. I remember that back at Mogo, like we have to build everything around that, right? So we have the customer go online, sign up for a new account, and then we have to deal with all of this flow. Microsoft now they build it for us. This is an example of the website Microsoft provided, and we set this one up for one of our clients here, which work pretty well. It's also a proof of only a proof of concept, but I can see that you can leverage that a lot. So now let's go to the demo part. Let me spin up my dev environment. So to build everything, to build this, we need an Azure storage account. So for this demo, I'm not going to run everything because some step will take a long time, right? So I want to leverage some of my screenshots and some of the live demo, so we can speed up the process. So this is a few note that we need to do when we create a new Azure storage account. You can review the record video. Oh, by the way, are we recording this session, right? Let me see. Oh, yes. Thank you. So the next one. So we talk about Cosmo DB. Here's how it works. I will connect to the Cosmo DB right now. Okay. So at this level, when we do, let's bring up here. So pretty much here I have my auto on Azure. I can search for pretty much everything. I just type it here. You can see the Cosmo DB here. And make sure that you choose the right subscription to list your databases. So yesterday I created my one database for our demo here, right? Oops. Okay, so there's a few notes here. So you need to enter all of this information. And you create your Cosmo DB account. Okay. So this is that. We get back to that later. By the way, any question before we continue the demo? Let us know. Or we can get back to that at the end of the demo. So there are a few key. Sorry.
Yeah. So I wanted to find out how the AD, how the AD is used for the sign up or sign in or managing identity. How do you do that with the application?
Oh, how to do that? I configure that in one of our POC here. I tried to get it in this demo, but I didn't have time. But it's straightforward. So you go to the B2C Azure, right? And you set it up, and you set up the HTML, the link that you want to protect. And also to coding, we can connect to our application or web application to that B2C.
Okay, if you can send a link or something, that might be helpful. All right.
Absolutely, yes. I will. How do we send the link? Maybe after the.
Yeah. Also,
right.
What's the difference between using Cosmo DB and using say Azure Blob storage or SQL or a data lake or something like that?
Right. Let me get back to that slide quickly. What I can see that the difference is the SQL, the Cosmo DB. It will Microsoft will duplicate the data, right? The data to different regions. That's how it makes it faster to serve the different region, right? Let's say you have the region A, they should have the clone data for the region A here, right? With the SQL, we don't have that kind of thing. So the SQL you have Microsoft just store your SQL in one location, and let's say if you store in Europe, and the guy who access to the website from Asia, right? The traffic will go under the sea to reach the SQL in Europe. Hopefully that makes sense. So,
yeah, thank you. Cheers.
Thank you. And back to the previous question, if you can, I don't know, I can answer to the question on here yet, but yes, please post the question on the chat window so I can get back with the link after by email or by the chat window later. for the link to the B2C, for setting up the B2C. So we get back to the question after the demo then. I think we have 15 minutes. Yeah. I'm a little bit lost here. Sorry about that. So let me get back to the demo part. So here are the few things that we need to be able to connect to Cosmo DB from Function app. You need to know how to get the key here, right? So the main one is URI and one of these key, right? So we use them in the Azure Function. So let's do the, here you go. So now that we see the demo of the Azure Function app using Visual Studio Code. Let me open that up. Azure Function app, right? Okay. Okay, here's a few things when you want to develop with Azure Function. So most of the time we will need to install the Node.js. We need to install the Azure Function core tool. We need to install also Azure Function extension in VS Code, right? So it worked pretty well in Visual Studio 2019 too. So, but I assume that if you don't want to pay for the license, you can use the VS Code, which is it worked pretty well. Some of the script we need to run, you can get this recorded video and know that when you run into the problem with some kind of permission, you can run the PS script. You need to add the Azure Cosmo DB package, which is very easy to add with the .NET command line, and .NET restore, just to restore the whole everything. Ooh. So let me, it's right here. This is the app, sorry. I want to open the other one. Function app demo, right. So here, function. I'm getting some link for that. So here's the, oh my goodness, it's the wrong way. Here's the function. So we do need to open. It doesn't switch to my other things. Let me close this. So this is Azure Function. We have the code very straightforward. We have the get trainer in the demo, and I will show how it runs here in local to see what it will do for us. Okay. Sometimes you need to be patient. We need to be patient here. So now the function is loading, running, and it's listened to this port, right? So pretty much this API, just one line of code. Let me see here. Get trainer. So that's the API. So it returns everything from Cosmo DB, right? The data. So this function pretty much have the connection to the Cosmo DB, and you can see the code here, very straightforward. It run the client, it reach out to the Cosmo DB and return the list of the trainers. The next part I want to see is the, I don't think we have time to get to the testing part, so I close this. Let's open the web, the single page application, web application, to see what's in there. So for that Azure function, we can run in the command line, so we can debug locally. So here I will run. They call it, go to the folder and run func star, and it will listen to that local port. I just keep it running this way. Here we go. And also here's the did I open something? Here you go. So here's the code for the Vue.js. So Vue.js here. So for this scenario, I will run npm run serve, which will run the static website or the single page web application locally, and this one will connect to my API, the local one. Want to get the so it built. I don't think we have enough time to run to the structure of the Vue.js. So from here, if we install the Azure tool, Azure extension, in here we can deploy directly our web app. Actually, our website is running right now. I just bring it up and paste this one here. So this one, what it will do is it will connect to the local Azure function. We have the list of trainer right here. So this Azure function running in local will reach out to DynamoDB and get the information, right? So the top trainer will be highlighted like that. So directly from here, we can just run npm run build, and we can also deploy that directly from our Visual Studio or Visual Studio code ref. So we have we can deploy the Azure function from your local Visual Studio as well. So this is the storage that I got. I got little Pham demo, and just a few clicks you can access to your web, and you see you deploy static web, right? So here you choose the thing that you build. Normally the Vue.js or NPM will build everything and put it in the disk folder here, and you just choose the disk folder and select folder and deploy. So let's try that. So we say that, okay, it deploy. So I'm doing the new deployment for the static web app to Azure. So why it doing that? Let's see what we have in Azure. So for the DynamoDB, for I think this is my storage. Oh, it finished here. So I browse the website, click on that. It will go to my website here. You know, it's a live website. So if you can go to this website, you will see it right now. And this one, it connects to the Azure function that I deployed earlier. So it connects to the same DynamoDB. And also in DynamoDB, the structure is pretty much is the JSON structure. I think we have 3, 5, 6, 7 more minutes. Data Explorer. So DynamoDB coming up. And you can see that we have few items here. So let's say if you bring one more, let's say it's trainer 0, have rating 0, right? Save it. And if we run this, we refresh, we set the 0 here. So these are live. So static web app, Azure Function, and Cosmo DB. Of course, you can put something in the middle like CDN, B2C, and also the API management component as well. So right here, let me get back to the slide to see what else we missed. So Vue.js, very small, easy to understand, two-way communication. And our team, I prefer Vue.js than Angular because I have done both. So compare the two, I can see that it takes less time to learn Vue.js than Angular, and you can get a lot of benefit from that front-end framework, this kind of framework, right? So the two-way binding is the best way to go. So many big companies using Vue.js nowadays. Also for the serverless, we need to do serverless website. We need to do this step, right? You know, we can choose the framework that help your team to build the right website. To know like on the best practices, unit testing, everything around DevOps, right? Right. I put in some screenshot here to help you to build a single web page web app with Vue. And two main commands, command on that is npm run build, that when we build a website and to deploy, and npm run serve, which will run the website locally so you can test them. So related to Azure Function from the website, you may face some problem, which is the access to blocked by core policy. So in this case, we just go to the Azure core policy and then add your local website URL or your storage website, right? Static website in Azure. So summed up the automatic UI test. All of these we can run by command line. So So let's say you can run your website by a command line. You can run your function locally in the command line. So all of these can be integrated. When you run things through the command line, that means you can integrate them to your Azure DevOps, right, process. So I have two more testing to show. I'm not sure the time yet. Should we go with the question, or should we see the testing part of it? At least I run. Yes.
Yeah, you can take a couple of minutes more, or up to 5 minutes more, because we got a break coming up. So I'm happy as long as the attendees would like to stay more.
Fantastic.
So you can occupy 5 minutes more. Yeah.
Thank you. So now I just let's say I run the command line here, right? Localhost things, my website, right? The website connect to. I need to make sure that my Azure function running as well. Let's see the beauty of this testing. So Azure function running and listening to here, right? That's what we got. Also the website running locally here at the 8080. And now I have, let's talk about automated UI testing. That is the most challenging part. So let run this and then see what it's doing, right? So debug test here. And it will tell you what we need to write this kind of test. Because for the Azure DevOps, for the DevOps thing, we have to write a lot of tests. The more tests we have, the better. So it's running. I put the debug point here, and let's see, it will bring up a browser somewhere. So here with my setting here, we run this against Chrome only, right? But to run it in Firefox, you just open up that. Oh, you see, you just open up a browser, the Chrome browser here, trainer, and it go to the website trainer, and it will check. It will get the. You can see that it will get the table on that website, and the table content is pretty much everything we expect, right? So if we know that in DynamoDB, your query should return that kind of data, it return back to this test, right? The automated test. And it compare with this string. And let me do F10. F10 here. And I say that it's expected, right? It's true. So thing like that. And also to leverage this test, how to set it up this test is pretty straightforward. You just create your new and unique test projects. In with .NET Core 3 something, and then you can add whatever you need, right? And in this scenario, I use an unit, you see, and then we will add the dependencies Selenium. Selenium, we have the Chrome driver, IE, we have Firefox, all of these. And the way how we build it, there's two things. So the first method that we have here is the find element on the browser. When you bring up the browser, you find an element using the ID or using the CSS style, whatever you can think of, right? To leverage that. So you can, let's say in this scenario, I find a tag name, which is the table, right? Or you can find a row in that table, whatever you can think. And this can run automatically in your Azure DevOps build, right? So, and also if you want to run again two browsers, you just open this up and let's try this again then. Let's see how many browsers it will do. Debug test. So you see, it's pretty straightforward to write an automatic UI test here, right? And also I have another example to write not the unit test, right? Write the integration test running directly also from your local, and also when you run the command, it can run on the build server. So integration means we test the Azure function and the Cosmo DB connection. So here you can see it launched the Chrome, right? And then let's say I pass this, right? And where's the, okay, so here, where's the, all right, say it cannot find something. never mind. It worked yesterday with the Firefox. Somehow it doesn't fire. Pretty much. I believe we can make it work, but it's not the right time to show up our skills. So it's just the same code you can run again many different browsers by just using that. It's very very straightforward. I think that's everything I got. I'm not going to show up more about my coding skill then. So conclusion. So it's a good time to invest more in serverless, and always we need the quality, right? So the better quality we getting in the better shape, right? So architect, design, code the right way, all of these. And thank you for being here with us today. So please contact me if you have any question. And I know that let me say let's see if we have any other question.
Quick question for me. So I have got a bit of experience with Vue.js myself. What you seem to have done there is more like the client type or static type. So if you wanted to, could you have something like a Nox.js, kind of like a client server type application with this?
Absolutely, yes. The Node.js can, yes, it's a server thing. So you can have the server Node.js. Absolutely. In this demo, we don't have the Node.js server, but in many projects we have the Node server running on the server side.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Any
Great,
other question?
That was a very good session, Leah. I've been monitoring chat and I haven't seen any other questions, but there is one thing I would like to highlight. We had a question around which database to use and when. I'm going to share that link in a chat window where it actually tells you if you want to do this, use this type of databases, this type of services. And also there is a link to ebook which actually explains about 6 cloud data challenges solved for database administrator as well. So I will share those links and it could be really helpful to anyone who's interested in.
Fantastic.
Cheers.
Thank
you. Thank you. Good.
Great. And any more questions, we can still allow a couple of minutes before we go on a break, and then we'll come back for the next session, which is we have Prashant presenting Introduction to AI and Cognitive Services for Developers and Information Workers. I can see there are no questions. So thank you, Leo. Thanks for presenting really nice demos and your presentation as well. And thanks for spending your Saturday with us as well.
Thank you.